at age 65 has increased by 1 year for lower-income men. All right, 25-year period. That's not much of a gain compared to 5 years for upper-income men. In other words, being poor is kind of a death sentence, isn't it, in some respects?
It certainly isn't an aid to longevity.
So what we're talking about now, if you add all of these things together, is saying to people who are working-class people, who are already working really hard, who are not seeing any significant increase in life expectancies. If they're women, they may actually be seeing a decrease. Guess what? You're going to have to work to 70 before you get your Social Security. What does that mean?
Well, it's actually true. This is one of the, I think, the most compelling to most people, compelling reasons to raise the retirement age, that you know, everyone is living longer, therefore they will be in retirement longer, will get a bigger benefit. But it's not, this is not an across-the-board phenomenon, as you suggest. It's actually, it isn't just in some counties. I think the evidence is, and there's a report that I can supply to you by a researcher who has found that that lower-income women, and especially in the lowest income decile, are living less long. Their longevity is actually decreasing. So they're not benefiting from the overall situation of Americans where most of us are living longer.
So the likelihood is that if we raise the retirement age, many of these women would never get a nickel from Social Security. They'd be dead.
Well, they can, if they make it to 62, they'll be able to retire, but their benefit will be reduced that much more. They will be punished.
But this is an important point that we don't talk about enough. You know, we always lump everybody together. But what he is saying, and what the Washington Post indicates, for many lower-income women, their longevity, their life expectancy is actually declining. And for working-class and lower-income men, the gains are minimal. For upper-income people who have access to the best, really good health care, they're doing just fine. Interesting.
I think the other thing, and I just asked my staff to get it, is that we talk about life expectancy, but life expectancy starts at birth. Mm-hmm. Life expectancy in the United States has increased substantially since 1900 because we have immunizations, vaccinations, babies aren't dying at birth any longer, so the life expectancy has increased because of public health and what we've done with public health in America. But if you, in 1900, reached the age of 40, you live just about as long as if you reach the age of 40 today. A little bit longer, not very much, not like the life expectancy. So a lot of people say, well, when we enacted Social Security and we put the retirement age at 65, life expectancy was only like 68. But today it's, what, 70-something. So we should raise that up so it would be comparable to what it was in the 30s. That's missing the point. The life expectancy may have been that, but if you were a working person if you'd made it to age 30 or something like that, you could expect to live just about as long as you live today. So it wasn't that people were retiring and then dying. It's just that people didn't live as long because of the low life expectancy because of childhood deaths.
Well, part of the phenomenon that you've just mentioned is also that people are living longer in their working years. Their working life has been extended so that the ratio of work life to retirement life hasn't increased at the same rate as
life
longevity after 65.
That's right. So raising if you raise the retirement age, actually what you're doing is you're going backwards from where we started in the 1930s. You're actually going backwards in terms of how many retirement years you would be covered by Social Security. I submit that. Now I can prove it with data too, but I just don't have it in front of me. Ms. Miller, let me ask you a question. There's a lot of talk around here about we're going to do some tax bills here and that kind of thing. A lot of talk about raising the estate tax exemption for estates up to $5 million per person, $10 million per couple, and lowering the tax rate on that. How much would that benefit you?
Start at her. As you've seen my face, it pretty much loses me very fast.
Yeah.
I'm still taking in that I'm going to die early because I'm low income. I'm sorry.
Well, I say that really.
Layman's terms, please.
It's not going to help you, is
It
it?
doesn't
In other
sound
words,
like
you don't
it.
have $5 million in the bank or $10 million that you're going to be leaving your kids, right? For the record, that was a laugh.
Yeah, that was a laugh. My children make the same amount per hour as I do. And they're 23 and 24. My son and my daughter-in-law both make $12 an hour. They're not in the workforce for 40 years, 20 years even, you know.
So if you,
I get very confused when you guys talk about all these numbers and taxes. So admittedly, I feel dense at the moment because I'll never have that kind of money to leave my children. Because when the income went down, when the stock market crashed, when I lost my last job, I lost my life insurance policy too. So I don't know how I'm ever going to leave them anything. If nothing, I may be just a burden on my children.
You know, Tom, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Miller just raised a very interesting point that we haven't really discussed. You know, we've talked about, you know, folks raising the retirement age again to 70, and I know I'm a little bit of a Johnny one-note today, but that is the issue that's on my mind. I wonder, and any of the panelists can comment on that, it would seem to me that if you raise that retirement age and people were not getting Social Security, they might in fact be a burden, as Ms. Miller said, on their kids. I mean, we're already seeing that in today's society. Wouldn't we expect perhaps more of that if we raise that retirement age? Mr. Van Hey?
Well, I can't give you an exact number on that, but basically that is something that we try to get at in the testimony. We tried to look at what would happen, in essence, if you eliminated Social Security benefits. We could very easily go back for you, and instead of doing the current status quo versus nothing, do these kinds of comparisons for you and show you exactly the percentage of the population that would be at risk and or not have any other financial resources, if that's how you want to define being a burden. We could very easily go back and simulate that for you.
And I would appreciate it, would like to see those statistics, but common sense might suggest that already a hard-pressed middle class might even have more of a burden trying to take care of parents who are not getting Social Security when they might need it. Would common sense suggest that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
well, thank you all very much. This has been very enlightening. And this is, as I said, this is a first of our hearing. I mean, we're going to have a whole series of hearings because I think the retirement system in America is putting a lot of people at risk. There is, as I hear here, there is a crisis out there in our retirement system, and people have to know this, and we have to take some action to shore it up. Mr. Vanderhee, you have some information you're going to get to us on the collective bargaining balance that I asked, and Mr. Eisenberg, you're going to give me some information on the if you raise the retirement age to 70, what the replacement rate, how far that would fall. Maybe Mr. Vanderhee, if you have that data too, what would happen to that replacement rate on that? And Ms. Miller, all I can say is that you're the face of America. You're the face of working America.
So smile.
Middle America, and you are. And these, if nothing else, it seems to me, you and the many millions of Americans out there who are making $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000, we've got to shore up the retirement system for them. And the best retirement system and the most secure one that we have is Social Security, because that is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. I tell you, a lot of times when young people ask me, is Social Security going to be there when I retire, I ask them a question. I say, well, let me ask you this. When you're my age, will the United States of America exist? Do you believe that or not believe that? Oh, they believe that. Well, I said, if the United States of America exists, your Social Security will exist. because it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. No other retirement system can say that.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just conclude my remarks by saying, I think as we've heard this morning, and as I think most Americans know, there has been a war going on for many years against the middle class of this country, and that's why the middle class is disappearing. And I think these attacks on Social Security are part of that same effort by Wall Street and some other special interests now, who apparently are extremely unhappy that we have a federal program that has worked enormously successfully for the last 75 years, and they want to destroy it. And I think our job is to make sure that they do not succeed in that goal. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you all panelists.
Thank you. The committee will stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.